Good evening, everybody. So I made a video last night talking about why blade material quality matters, and I showed this 20 CV blade where we had a bunch of macro segregation, what I believe to be alloy segregation, or like a non-homogeneous situation within the steel. And someone reached out trying to say that this is just corrosion. So I just wanted to clarify this and help you understand that this is something that we started seeing in our inspection process, which I'll show you here in a second. Before we became a manufacturing company, we used to just get ground blades that look like this, and we would only find out about issues like this months and months later after a customer had it and it's been out, used. And what we had in this situation was a fisheye rust spot. So there was nothing apparently wrong looking at it, and the surface looked uniform like that, but then there was an orange circle there around what I believe is an inclusion. So that just wasn't homogeneous. And once we took over this process for peening and moved away from subcontractors doing our finishing, these issues became apparent. So I was just going to show you here. Ellie does all the fancy frame stuff, so I'm just going to show you here on her iPad. These are some of the issues we started seeing, and this is where we had a phenomenal amount of loss with the 20 CV, where you can see all these little dots. So all these are tiny little inclusions here, I believe, where that manifests like this, these little dots around here. So some of the material is homogeneous and other spots are not. So what you end up with are situations like this where I believe they're carbide lumps, and due to our peening process, the lumps are harder than the alloy that's surrounding that. So our compressive peen moves the surface down slightly, and that stands up and manifests like this. So you've got some carbide banding here and then some random lumps, and situations like this on another part. And this was on 3V. This was more of I think a carbide banding situation. But without lab evidence or anybody acknowledging there's an issue, I just have to come to my own conclusions. There's a void in a 3V part. And down here by the edge, I picked this in finishing. I hadn't seen it, but so we had a little carbide lump, and I don't want the edge to tear out there. So I pulled that stuff, and I just was eating the loss quietly. So I didn't have any options for years. So as these things crop up after we put all the work in it, it was soul crushing, but I didn't have other material options, and now we do. So we're talking about it. But there's another one, so you can see there's something not homogeneous there as well as here. And, different areas of the surface, there's just tiny little things. And over time, as weather gets at it, it's going to come out of there. So once I was aware of this and we started doing our own finishing, I just picked these parts out. How much it hurt didn't matter. I'm not going to field parts like this that have these issues that are going to come out over time. So yeah, that's the last one that I had there. But I just had some of these in my hard drive, so I just wanted to show you guys just some of the instances. And we sent these parts back for evaluation, just never really heard anything. I think it was at the time, Bob Shabala's position. He said, maybe 20 CV just has chunky carbides, but that's not chunky carbides, that's alloy segregation. And that should, again, that in addition to the voids I'm seeing in the MagnaCut, things like this should not be possible in a PM grade. So when I see things like that, this speaks to a larger issue in the steel manufacturing. And without any clear answers, now that we have options, I'm just moving away from this as fast as possible. But please know that we've got a lot of MagnaCut and different things in process here that I need to work through. So I need some patience. We're just quality driven here. And I don't know until the end of process. I don't have expensive ultrasonic equipment. To me, that should be at the mill where they're doing ultrasonic inspection on the sheets to know whether there's voids or things that are irregular in it. So I need to, right now, they're telling me this should be fine. So I'm going to keep inspecting here as we're finishing up, and I'm going to let you guys know what's going on with these materials. But this has caused us phenomenal amounts of delays, in addition to the material strain and things I talked about where there's excessive bowing of the parts in the heat treat that I'm not seeing with any of the Böhler-Uddeholm grades. This has caused us aggressive delays and then just more loss than what seems reasonable for something that should be a high-quality particle metal. These should be the best of the best. So I hope that further explains the situation. And no, that's not just corrosion. That's that's compromised steel, and there's things in there that are really causing me pause there. So I hope that gets you better informed there. Sorry for my low budget presentation there. It's just I've got work to do, and I'm not really into this right now. But one day I'll learn that. So then, I'll make a video here tomorrow. We had a bunch of GSO 4.5s from our last production run when we first were taking over from Millet. But this really rough surface, I'm starting to understand what this was. This situation ruined our relationship with Blade HQ. I had a bunch of these that should have been extras, but I believe what was happening due to this aggressively rough rolling surface is we still had decarburizing from the mill way down into the sheet. These were to finish at 125. We took these down to 115 and then still had parts of the surface on one side that were compromised just because there was no carbon in the surface. So all these parts bowed this way, and having no hardening element in it, and then Millet, they had already bevel ground them. So I was very limited on what I could do to fix these. And a lot of them went in the trash, and I was never made whole on that. So I've still got some samples of things laying around, so we're going to talk about it, and I'm going to keep talking about it as we see issues. This all is very alarming to me, and just shows a course of conduct over several types of jobs, and I'm not okay with it. So yeah. Anyway, stand by here, and I'm going to get to work, and we're going to keep finishing this stuff up. We've got GSO 4.7s here. More 4.5s, and we're just going to keep going through this stuff, and if it goes great, cool, we'll know that, and if it doesn't, we'll know that too. So anyway, hope you guys have a great night, and we'll talk to you again soon.